now we move on to quickly to the next speaker, Sri Kumar, Dr. Kumar S. Nochur ji. He will be presenting his thoughts on meta meditations on Brahman in the Rubhu Gita. Kumar ji, namaste, swagatam.
Namaste, pranams to everybody. Thanks to the organizers for organizing this very important and timely conference. I've enjoyed all the various speakers yesterday and today, and the meditation sessions led by Akanksha ji were very inspiring to start our conference today. Thanks to all of them, all of the earlier speakers. Om Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. I have been a student of Puja Swami Dayananda Saraswati of the Harsha Vidya Gurukulam for Vedanta, and I have been following Sri Aurobindo in discovering the esoteric or secrets of the Vedas. And other gurus like Ramana Maharshi and others have also inspired and guided me along my route to spiritual discovery, and happy to share some of my thoughts and discoveries with you today. So I want to summarize the key points which are also in my paper, and then get into the Ribhu Gita and why it is important for all of us. Many of you may already be familiar with the Ribhu Gita. Otherwise, this is I take this as a great opportunity to learn about it. So we are all agreed that the summit of our Hindu spirituality is the knowledge by identity of Atma being equal to Brahman, Sachidananda, Brahman being that reality, that Ekam Sat, and the Atma being our true self behind all the false body-mind identifications we may have. So this Brahmatma Vidya, that is called self-knowledge, is the liberating discovery of this identity of the Atma with Brahman. And in all our scriptures and the Prasthanatraya, which is the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras and the Bhagavad Gita, it is the constant drumbeat and refrain, this knowledge of the self as the highest knowledge that one has to pursue and gain in this very life itself. Now, we have some difficulties with language when it comes to talking about Brahma Vidya. Since the knowledge of Nirguna Brahman is beyond the Tripurti or triad of the meditator, meditation and what is meditated upon, it cannot be called a normal experience as we understand the word experience, which involves a subject and an object. So we have to look at that state as a unitary immersion in the noumenon, in the plenum, that is Brahman, which is also the same as Atman. That is what we have to discover. And it is revealed in that state as pure consciousness without any object of cognition or experience. So there is no experience going on. So we have to perhaps coin a new phrase. I don't know if somebody has done it before, but I offer it as a suggestion because we need to be able to talk about meditation in new and different ways. So I suggest that such non-experiential, non-dual immersion in the reality of Brahman, we may call a meta-experience, since it transcends all normal states which have a subject and object duality. Now, it's interesting that many speakers yesterday and including today, Neerja ji and others yesterday, and even the last speaker, Sri Oak, have talked about dhyana in so many different angles and perspectives. I liked particularly the comparison of dharana and dhyana as the pitch and yaw that control the flight of a plane. That is a very instructive comparison. Coming back to Raja Yoga, again, There, dharana and dhyana are showing up as the 6th and the 7th steps. Now, we can say that up to dharana and including dhyana, we are talking about steps or processes which are preparing the body and the mind. For the first 6 steps leading up to dhyana and including dharana, which is concentration, which leads to dhyana, which is the single focus and the steady flow of thought, as if like a steady flame in the wind. That kind of steady flow is the state of samadhi, leads to the state of samadhi. And the point to note is samadhi is not a process, but it is the non-dual state of pure consciousness itself. So again, it is not anything that you do, it is something that you are. So we have to now conclude that Brahma Vidya, in a sense, calls for meditation techniques that can lead us to a state of transcendental truth, which is that Brahman itself, which is beyond the mind. So what are those kinds of meditation techniques, and what can we call them? So I suggest that in contrast with ordinary meditation, which is meditating on some object of meditation, whether it be Omkara or the sun or Akasha or Bhuma, the infinite, any of the Upanishadic Vidyas, Upasanas, various methods, which all have some object that has to be meditated on, even if very subtle as space itself, there is still an object. But in the Bhagavad Gita, and most especially in the Ribhu Gita, there are what I would call meta meditations, which lead us to the direct knowledge of Brahman in terms of affirmations and assertions about what Brahman is, and asking us to assume that position and live with that conviction till it becomes true in practice. So we are not meditating on anything, we are actually assuming Brahma Atma Bhava, which is, I think, one of the most powerful methods of communicating the knowledge of Brahman. And the Ribhu Gita is a great example, if not the best example to my knowledge, of such teachings. So I want to introduce you to the Ribhu Gita quickly in the next few minutes, and then actually plunge into the text to partake of its treasures and give us a flavor for the Brahmatma Vidya that Rishi Ribhu teaches us there. So quickly, the Ribhu Gita is exposition of Advaita by Rishi Ribhu to his disciple Nidagha in the presence of an assembly of sages in Mount Kedara in the Himalayas. It appears in the Shiva Rahasya, which is considered a Shaivite Upa Purana and comprises 4 to 47 of this of part 6 of this epic. The text proclaims that Ribhu, a mind-born son of Brahma, received these teachings directly from Lord Shiva. Now, on the slopes of Mount Kedara actually belongs to the first paragraph, not to here. I had forgotten to cut and paste. So he received it from Lord Shiva. We are not told where. At least I have not seen that reference. Now, the history of the Shiva Rahasya and the way we have learned of it is very instructive. The original Sanskrit was translated into Tamil in all of 1,924 verses, somewhere in the 1880s, by Brahmashri Bhikshu Shastrigal. Also, he was known as Ulaganatha Swamigal, who was both a Tamil and a Sanskrit scholar. And in the introduction to the Ribhu Gita, this is the version that I have, published by the Society for Abidance in Truth and available from Ramanashram. This translation was read in the presence of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. This was the most often recited text in his presence, it seems. And he has said that reading the Ribu Gita is as good as Samadhi itself. And the Paramacharya of Kanchi, talking about the translation, has noted that the terse translation in Tamil is superb and captures the beauty of the text and the essence of its sublimity. And he has even said it excels the Sanskrit original in many places. So our text comes very highly recommended by great sages of our in recent times. So we will follow in this session. I will read from this version of the text, which has been translated by Dr. Ramamurthy and No from the Tamil text of Ulaganatha Shastrigal. So this is called the Song of Ribu, and it is published by the Society of Abidance in Truth, and copies are available from Ramanashram if you are inclined to look into it more. So with that brief introduction to a very great and rich and powerful text, I would like for us now to plunge into it and discover the wondrous power of these first-person meta-meditations that have the power to plunge us into Brahmatma Bhava. And when we take these teachings to heart and internalize and imbue and abide the Bhava that it is instilling in us through repeated affirmations and assertions, both positive and negative, with a lot of similes and analogies, we can actually start imbuing that rasa, and then it will unfold itself. With that prayer, I will read a few select passages from the Ribu Gita conveyed to us by Lord Shiva through the Rishi, and coming to us directly in the line of transmission for our benefit. First, I want to read an example of how affirmations are done in terms of asserting who we are, that we are Brahman, we are Atman, the self. And I will read a section from, there are 45 chapters. So this will be from chapter 21, verse 17 at the bottom. So this is the kind of assertions coming from a rishi who has known Brahman, realized it through the grace of Lord Shiva himself. And he says, I indeed am of the nature of the Supreme, which transcends knowledge and truth. I indeed am of the nature of consciousness, which is perfectly full. I indeed am of the nature that is ever motionless. I indeed am of the nature that has no conditioning. I indeed am of the nature that is the dyadless non-duality. I am indeed of the nature that has no illusory forms. I am indeed of the nature that has not an atom of action to be performed. I am indeed of the nature that is of wondrous form. I am indeed of the nature that is undivided, supreme, and infinite. And so it goes, refrain, drumbeat, repetition. So new channels in our brain will overcome our programming that we are limited beings of blood and flesh that will die tomorrow, instead of the immortal self that is eternal and that is forever. So that is one example of the method of affirmations is used. I want to now give you a sense of how similes are given to us to understand the truth. 28, 42, 41. A very simple example often used in Vedanta in the context of the Ribu Gita. Just as all that happened illusorily to me during my dream, when inquired into, is only the substratum that is myself and nothing apart from me. All that happened to indivisible me during my waking state, when inquired into, is only the substratum that is myself and not a trace is apart from me at all. So you can see how a very simple simile, which others have used as well, is woven in the first person voice, saying, asserting that this is how it is, what is the illusion and what is the reality. And there are direct methods of inquiry also that are taught in the text here, of which I will give you an example from chapter 10. As the self of undivided bliss is beloved of all, the self of undivided bliss should be worshipped by the practice of knowledge. By directly realizing the I as the self of undivided bliss in every way, the blemishless bliss of liberation of being the self of undivided bliss should be attained. Hence, obtaining the knowledge of the self of undivided bliss, that the self of the nature of undivided bliss is I, and that the I is all, and rid of the sorrows of repeated births, be established fully as the self, a mass of knowledge bliss. Great sage, the self is all, and there is not an atom apart from the self. So you can see how the word self and bliss and Brahman and Atman and consciousness are repeated, affirmed as a certitude. That is what you are. Live with that certitude and it will become true in due course. That is what the teaching of the Ribhu Gita is. I want to do a time check now.
Sir, can you kindly conclude or summarize your presentation and conclude, sir?
Yes, yes.
Time.
Yeah. So this is in the limited time, this has just been a very brief introduction to that treasury of Atma Vidya that is imparted in the Ribhu Gita. I conclude by offering my namaste and pranams to all of you who have organized and participated in this conference. And may you all, with the blessings of Lord Shiva, discover the teachings that take all of us to the knowledge of Brahman. Om Shantihi Arihi Om Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.
There are no questions as such, Kumarji, but I just have one observation that
Yes.
You have beautifully introduced the tradition of Parayana, that is reading out texts. So reading texts themselves can be a meditative technique and an experience. So that came out really, that idea or that technique has been highlighted through your paper. Like Ribhu Gita, Yoga Vasishtha, and such other
Yes.
texts are there where the mere Parayana itself takes a person to the level of kind of a meditative state. Thank you very much for that presentation. Namaste.